Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lee Pitts Live, covering the community from end to end. Certainly no better time to be covering the community than on this beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Clemente Park in Fort Myers, the heart of the Dunbar community, the largest African-American community in Southwest Florida. If you're looking at us from around the country, we're in the state of Florida, and we're in a city called Fort Myers. To my right here is a former judge here in Lee County, one of the rarities, an African-American, Judge Archie Hayward, born and raised in this community, and he's out here right now being a part of Souls to the Pole. Lee Pitts Live is a proud media sponsor of Souls to the Pole, and also 100 Black Men of Southwest Florida, which Archie Hayward is a proud member of. We're on the property where the Lee County Black History Society Museum is located, and the Black History Society has its meetings. Archie Hayward, of course, is a member of that organization as well. But he's right here witnessing some historical evening. Souls to the Pole, Archie Hayward. In a nutshell, what does that mean?
That means getting out the vote, getting people in the community out to put their ballot in the box or make their mark on the computer. That's what we need, the people to be involved in this political process.
Souls to the Pole has been around for a long time and throughout the country, and it is a play on churches to get people to the polls. And it is, today look like we have a really nice turnout building up here. Started about an hour ago. And music, festivity, free food, a whole lot of things going on. What's your overall opinion on what you're witnessing today?
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity for our community, for our young people to understand the power of voting and why it's important to vote. So many of the young people don't feel that they have a need to vote because they don't know how it affects them.
This is a critical time in our history right now in terms of the vote. Seems like our country is split right down the middle on who should be the president, who should be in our local offices, and so on and so forth. What election are you watching most closely?
Well, the local elections are very important to the community because we live here and we need to understand the process and know how our politicians will be protecting our rights and supporting our community. Of course, the presidential election is one of the most important ones because that will direct how our country will go.
What do you have to say to the interdenominational ministerial alliance here in the area of churches that took the initiative to put something on like today's event to continue to encourage people to exercise their constitutional rights?
Well, I think there is a long history of churches banding together and getting people to exercise their right to vote. As a church, they can't tell the people how to vote, but they can encourage them to vote so that they are part of this process.
When you ran a couple of times for election, was Sold to the Polls emphasized like it is now?
Yes. In fact, they were doing that during, I had my first election in 2010, my second election in 2016, and the third one in 2022.
When you hear in the national news, you being a former judge, about the Supreme Court judges being stacked and almost acting as a political arm of the president, what, as a former judge, when you hear those types of things, how does that affect you?
It gives me great concern to know that the judiciary, an independent and separate branch from the executive branch and the legislative branch, is somehow being tainted through the auspices of the presidential executive. So I have a lot of concern about that.
Your life as a politician, is it fair to say that it's over, or you never know when you might pop back up?
Well, as they say, you can never say never, but I'm satisfied with the opportunity that I had to be of some service to the community. And I will continue to try to be of service to the community by helping on different committees and boards that I can.
Growing up here in the African American community, being a young man who walked these streets, how would you say progress has been made or not been made since your childhood, especially for politicians with brown skin?
I would say we've had a lot of progress. I remember when we did not have sidewalks in our community. I remember when we had segregated schools. I remember when we had businesses along MLK, which was then Anderson Avenue. We had a thriving community. We didn't like what we didn't know we didn't have, but I was able to observe people from the community get involved in the political process, like Veronica Shoemaker. It took her 6 times to get elected, but she was dedicated. And I remember Veronica Shoemaker coming to our bus one morning to see how crowded we were on the school bus. And no other parent came and no other politician came to see what our conditions were on that school bus when we were being transported to North Fort Myers High School. But she made a difference. When she was elected, even though she didn't get elected to the school board, she made a difference in our community and letting it be known what was needed.
Let her name forever reign as the Rosa Parks of the city of Fort Myers.
Yes, she and others like her, even Dr. Knight, who came on board after Veronica Shoemaker was elected, and then all the people following her, they make a difference. And if you see people from your community striving to make it our overall community better, then it makes you feel good.
Fort Myers, Lee County, Southwest Florida, it's pretty much been conceded to the Republican Party as a red district in many people's minds, that it is extremely difficult for a person of color to be elected countywide or citywide. Do you espouse to that being a true statement?
I believe from the current registration of voters, the Republicans do outnumber the Democrats as well as the independents. But the independents and the Democrats have an equal voting power with the Republicans, and there's people make choices. And I believe that it's still possible for our community to be represented by all the interested parties, whether it be Republican as well as Democrats and independents. But people have to first be involved in the process.
How optimistic are you about the future?
I'm very optimistic about the future because here we sit at the precipice of the possibility of electing our first female president and also our first Black and Asian president. This is a phenomenal process. I remember when Shirley Chisholm declared her candidacy, and it was an amazing opportunity at that time. But this is a major party that has a candidate that gives us a possibility of hope. I think that we have come this far because people have contributed to the greater well-being of our community.
As a judge, when you sat there watching the Capitol on January the 6th being raided after the election had gone to Joe Biden, and it's something that you might think you were reading a fictitious novel. You're sitting there looking at it on TV. As a judge, a man who's proud of the Constitution, who's ingrained in the Constitution, did you ever think you would see something like that?
Lee, I never could imagine that happening in the United States. All the times when I saw that on the news, it was different countries that were experiencing that, and I never thought that we would see anything like that in America.
Oh, unbelievable.
And having such an impact on our political process, I just could not see how the lives of the people who are in charge of security for our politicians were threatened. People died as a result of that. I was just astounded.
I mean, I'm sitting there looking at this saying, this is going to be written about in history book for hundreds of years from now. And it was the technology allowed us to be looking right at that. Then what's even more astounding to me is fast forward 4 years later. I mean, you would never think that anybody who was involved with that would have a chance of being elected to the presidency again for the United States, and that the race would be so close as we are told that it is right now. Now, I don't really think it's that close. I think the media has to say that to keep you watching TV and keep their ratings up. I understand all of that, and keep people viewing, because if it was a runaway, who's going to watch TV? But still, I couldn't believe so many. That takes a lot of people in our country to accept that raid, to accept all those other things, separating the children from their families, the harshness that has gone on since that time, to make this race so close. What does that say to you as a person who is a child of the civil rights movement? The civil rights movement got you to where you were, and thinking that this country had progressed a lot farther than that.
Well, you know, it gave me the same feeling when I was a child. I was able to see on television how the people who were in the nonviolent civil rights movement, when they marched peacefully, how they were attacked, and how the people in charge allowed them to be attacked, and under such a protest. When I saw how the people acted in trying to take over the political process or stop the political process, it made me feel the same way. So I just hope that we have not come to that point where people are willing to destroy our political process and our country so that they might have their way and force us to be just like the other countries that we're looking at, telling their people that they must do it this way. They can only do it this way. You have no freedom. They're taking away the right to vote. They're taking away the right to freedom to express your opinion. They're taking the right of to have education, to be educated. These are the rights that I just thought were just so embedded.
You are, for the last 4 or 8 years, you carried yourself with the controls of, certain things a judge should say and not say. But now that you are not a judge, it appears to me that you're going to be willing to speak up against injustice and say what's on your mind. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And when people hear you talk, they listen. because you know the insides and the outsides of politics. You know the importance of events like this out here in the community, and you know that how politics affects everybody from top to bottom. And if we don't speak up, we're going to get what we deserve.
Exactly. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes you have to accept that your way will not always be the chosen way. But then people should learn from those experiences and then do better. In order for everybody to get the right things done, everybody has to be at the table. Everybody has to be heard. And then people can then make a better choice and make a better decision.
Right now here in Lee County, if I'm not mistaken, we don't have any diversity in this circuit court judges. Since you were not there, there's no more black judges.
We have diversity. It's interestingly, diversity has no description as to what anything should look like, other than that it should be a mix of all possibilities. And I observed that, and I said, you know what diversity means to me might be different from somebody else's perspective. And so what we have to be mindful of is that the definition from diversity comes from the person who is viewing it. And so to be inclusive of everyone, no matter what the opinion, what the race is, you have to be willing to look at it from that perspective.
So basically diversity is in the mind.
It is, but it's also in the presence of different people being at the table and being a part of the decision making.
Absolutely. Final question, Mr. Honorable Judge Archie Hayward. Today's event, what do you hope that people take away from this whole experience?
Well, I hope that they'll take away that being a part of this political process, you have to take the initiative to be involved. You can't sit back and just say, well, it's going to happen the way they want it to happen. I can't do anything about it. You can exercise your right to vote. You can also voice your opinion so people understand that you have an opinion and you have a voice and you should be heard. You can't take a seat back and not voice your opinion and not be heard and not exercise your right to vote, because certainly if you do that, you will not, your effect on the process is that you're allowing the process to go whatever way the persons who choose to vote, the way they desire it to be.
I said final question, but I got a couple of more. City Councilman Johnny Streets. This is his ward. He's decided, Ward 2, that he would not run again for election. Now we have people vying for that seat. Councilman Johnny Street, African American. What did he mean during his time to you as a city councilman?
Well, Councilman Street represented Ward 2, and his presence on the board, I think, was critical because he was able to see the needs of the community and express them on the board and try to make sure that the city took an opportunity to affect change, positive change in our community. And I believe his was the voice of reason, and they heard his requests and acted on them. I think that the people who come after him will also have that obligation to represent this community as well as the new community that was joined in with this community. Because when Councilman Street represented this community, it was drawn up differently, and now this will be an expansion to bring in the new corridor that will have an opportunity to represent both communities. So they will then need to make sure that they follow through and reflect the values of each community.
More white people are now a part of Ward 2. In other words, people. And that's what he just said. So,
but they're more than white people and black people. They are also Latinos are in the mix as well. So we have to be inclusive, and as I said, diversity from your eye may be different from diversity from the other person's eye. So we have to be mindful that everybody is at the table.
School district, Lee County, for the first time to be elected a superintendent. And the school board would not be hiring a superintendent.
Yes, y'all give it up for him.
What would make you happy
Nice job.
about whomever is elected as the superintendent? What would you like to see in a superintendent?
Well, what would make me happy is that the superintendent who is elected would have the support of the school board, and they could see the vision that he or she had, and it would help our school district to become the best that it could be. Our students are depending on the leadership from our school board, superintendent, as well as the school board itself, the elected school board. So this is going to be an opportunity in my lifetime that I don't recall us having, but previously at some point we did elect our superintendent, but that was not in my time period.
Yeah. It's sold to the polls, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's sold to the polls right here at Clemente Park off Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard in the heart of Dunbar. The music is playing. The buses are rolling. The people are out. Free food. And the Honorable Judge Archie Hayward is right here with us. Lee Pitts Live is here as usual, covering the stories that nobody else covers. And I'll be back talking to some more leaders in our community. So remember, Miami might have the oranges, but Souls to the Polls has got the juice. It's got the juice. We'll be right back. Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show. And if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Lee Pitts Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Lee Pitts Live, and there you go.